Hey crew, happy Monday. I am going through a stack of scans for all of you. You know what these scans are, but I'm just going to give a little bit of an overview. So when we do exams and scans, I'm looking at how the body's moving, how the muscles are working. I'm looking at how the organ, glands, vessels, basically everything is, and how the brain is adapting to all of what we do in life, okay? So there are neurological tests that have eyes open and eyes closed. I'm going to be demonstrating some of those probably on the Healing Touch side, but that shows how our brain is adapting when we don't have the visual piece. So when we close our eyes, we know, actually, if you're at home or wherever you're at, if you just stand up and balance on one leg for 30 seconds and then shift to the other leg and see what you can do with your eyes open versus eyes closed, that is indicative of how your brain is responding to life, to stress. We also look at, are you stuck in fight or flight, and how much reserves do you have? So as I'm going through this pile of scans that I have, people that get evaluated in the summer who either have kids in school, basically running off the school calendar, or are in school, whether it's an 8-year-old, a 4-year-old, or a 17-year-old, or a 22-year-old in college. It is absolutely amazing to me, the difference that their body is going through when they're not in school. I'm just going to show, and I have writing on this, so it's not for anybody to read necessarily, but this is HRV. This is how the muscles are working. This is how every other part of your body is working. Okay. The difference between before and after, before last winter and after right now, especially with anxiety, overwhelm, nervousness, it doesn't matter how old you are, is absolutely astounding to me. And this is what we think it is. We think it's because of our schedules. We think it's because of school. We think it is not because of any of that. It is our ability to adapt to life. That is chiropractic. Our ability to adapt to life is lower than the stress that we're putting on it. Whether that's mental, physical, psychological, financial, social, well, all the others, alls. It is not about school. So we have to go way back. We have to figure out what is the trigger with school. What is the trigger with our kids starting school and we have busy schedules? What is the trigger with winter? Many people will say they're depressed in the winter or anxious in the winter. It is not about the season as much as it is about our inability to adapt to what is on our plate. And that, my friends, is the brain. The brain, the brain, the brain. So as I'm looking at this heart rate variability, which is, if you haven't had these tests, you need to see the overall marking of how your body is handling life. If you don't, you're relying solely on symptoms. That is not gonna, it's just not gonna turn out well. So in the end of January, how she was adapting to life was stuck in fight or flight. So when we're stuck in, that'll be a different video. Stuck in fight or flight and low reserves, meaning the tank just is not refilling at all. And so we're running on fumes. She was a 58 out of 100, which those of you who have regular scans know that's tanked. That means her ability to adapt and change, given what's on her plate and in her life, is very, very low. So it doesn't take much to crash. It doesn't take much to have a temper tantrum. It doesn't take much to get sick. It doesn't take up much for your relationships to suffer, for your physical health to suffer, all of these things. Now it's a 70. She says it's because she's not in school. That is not correct. School is not the problem. The problem is her inability to handle all of these external forces because her superhighway, her Wi-Fi, is not connected to the cell phone. If the Wi-Fi is not connected to the cell phone, we don't have reception. So take it back a few steps. And number one, understand the triggers. Number two, as much as you understand the triggers, if you don't fix them, it is not going to help. It's not going to help. So we're going to continue to patch it. We're going to continue to put duct tape on the tires. But no matter what, our kids go back to school, we go back to school. Like, so it's not about putting duct tape back on the tires. It's about being aware of our threshold, increasing resilience and increasing reserves, starting to add in better habits. So in this situation, I say she needs to move every single day, because if we don't move, our brain doesn't fire. And if our brain doesn't fire, we're going to start to go back into foggy, groggy land and fight or flight, because that's the reptilian brain. And so, yes, number one, figure out the trigger, and then make a commitment to increasing your threshold and resilience. Not only adding good habits physically, then it's mentally. It's about getting your brain to work better, people. We can think about it differently, but if our brain doesn't work differently, this thinking part is not going to happen. If this is our cell phone and this is our Wi-Fi, our spinal cord all the way down, spine is protecting it, there's nothing else that can increase your resilience and resistance except getting your cell phone and Wi-Fi to work better so you have more bandwidth. Anxiety is not a school issue. It's not a winter issue. It's not anything seasonal, except understanding that during those times our threshold is lower because we have so many other things that we aren't able to process. So start thinking about a different perspective on how to have better function. It's not only about exercising. It's not only about drinking water. It's not only about staying away from toxic people. It's not only about meditating. Like, meditating won't fix a shit. It won't. You have to get your brain working better, and that is largely with your neck. 80% of your function, your sensory function, is through your neck. When your neck is stuck, and I don't mean physically, mechanically stuck, but when your neck is stuck, when it's stiff, when it hurts, you know that you are not expressing life. You are not able to see and feel everything out there. Therefore, you're going to be triggered faster, and your resilience is going to be lower. One extra thing on your plate and you have mama tantrums, or that child has massive tantrums. And then we blame it on school or the teacher or the schedule. And besides that, with kids, the fact that they're on technology as much as they are allows that brain not to ever rest. And when we don't rest, we can't have cognitive healing. Whoa, this was longer than I thought it was. I got a little fired up. Ask any questions. This might be really confusing to the majority of you. The people that get adjusted and that have for a long time and understand it as life and growth and expansion and connection, you get it likely. That doesn't mean that we don't need reminders of healthy habits in, healthy habits out. Well, crappy thoughts and crappy stuff out. Okay. Love you all. Happy Monday.